Explain what the Great Escape
So
is.
there was a prison camp, a really famous one called Stalag Luft 3. And my grandfather was a prisoner of war there. And it was divided up into quadrants, but the British POWs were on one side and the American POWs were on the other, and they were separated by just some barbed wire. Well, there were about I would say about 100 men who tunneled out successfully out of this prison camp, but they were captured. And many of them, when they were captured, they were taken on a hill and they were shot and they were killed. And so later that would, it later would ensue, basically like rules of war and the Geneva Convention and what you can and you can't do to prisoners of war. But it turned into a, international emergency and travesty. And so my grandfather and his men, they were actually trying to tunnel out as well. But as soon as they saw what happened to them, obviously they stopped. And my grandfather writes about that in the book. And so all night long, they had the prisoners standing out there for days on end where they would be interrogating these men, making them do roll call while they searched for the men that had escaped. And they captured nearly all of them. So, and killed them. So this was a movie that was made by Steve McQueen, called The Great Escape. And, my grandfather was there and he takes you there. And so there aren't that many books written by people that were there. There are a lot of historians, a lot of great books out there, but this is one of those books where you don't even realize, when you think of boxcars, you think of the Holocaust, right? My grandfather was thrown in a boxcar for several days and nights with no food, no water. Obviously a happy ending for him. He survived. He wasn't sent to a concentration camp or something terrible like that. But he marched in the freezing snow, and men were dying all around him, not wanting to continue as the Germans moved them from one prison camp to another. And it was a death march. And so my grandfather, I still have one of the shoes that he wore on that march. It was a wooden clog. He traded his leather soles with another prisoner of war's wooden clogs. I mean, they look like boats. I don't even know how he walked in them. So I think that what I didn't realize is that my grandfather went through pure torturous hell. And, he ended up being a really kind, soft-spoken, incredible human being. And you would never know what he went through. But I think that it opens up a conversation about post-traumatic stress. And he definitely had, I'm sure, demons and unresolved trauma from the war that we're just now just now wrapping our heads around what that really means. But no wonder he didn't talk about this for decades and with his own children, with his own wife. My grandmother, to this day, she didn't even know he was a prisoner of war when they got married. She didn't find out until his parents told her.